Alright, this is part 3 of the Marlin 795 automatic bolt close modification. We already have our new spring partially installed. We still need it to get seated properly, so we'll work on that. You can see the new spring, the one side is kind of held in place here. That's going to hold it. We're going to want to probably bend that down, maybe trim it a little so it's not sticking up so far because the bolt's going to ride up and down here. This other piece we want to come through out this window down here. We don't want to pull it back this way because you can see the top moves, you're not getting any tension. The way to do it is to push this end, the tag end, around, down, and through. And that will twist the spring and give us the tension we need to push the bolt catch out of the way. So you can either use a pair of pliers to do this or use some screwdriver like I'm doing. Sometimes you can feed it with your finger. It's not a bad idea to have your finger there just in case you lose it, and then it won't be flying out or undoing all the work you just did. Try. Again, this is not a factory part. This is modification, so sometimes it takes a little bit of time, trial and error, to get it in there. It's not designed for this. End. Now I need it to go in that window. See if I can get my fingers out of the way so you can see. I have it pushed around, but I need it to come, when the bolt catches in the down position, I need it to come through this window right there. Okay, it's kind of in there. I can push it through with some screwdriver. Now, it is coming out a little bit. It's not going to hold it there. Once you get it through, you need to bend it so it stays in there. One way to make this easier, if we want, we can release the tension on this side. Just move that off of there, and then the bottom will swing freely. But we are going to have to put that tension back in later. That's what actually moves the bolt catch out of the way. But since this window is a little bit more difficult to work with than the top, it's not a bad idea. All right. There we go. Now we got it through there. Before I put that tension back in, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to bend the end of this so that it really resides down in here and holds in place. And this is kind of difficult. Grab the end of it, some pliers, grab the very end. There we go. You can see it makes a nice little catch in there now. Alright. Now we need to, since I loosened that top part, I need to put that back to give us some spring tension. So let's see, if I push it to the rear, that doesn't build any tension. I need to push it forward and have it come up and sit in that position. Again, you can use pliers or some screwdriver, push it up there. This one might be a little long to get through the available space, so you might have to trim it shorter. Bigger screwdriver. Almost had it there. Alright. I'm having trouble with that, so I'm going to trim it a little bit because it was too long to begin with and it makes it harder to get through. So I'm just going to trim off maybe 1/8 of an inch. Again, try pushing that tag end around. pliers. Okay, you can see it's right up there now. I need to pull that up and over. There we go. It's sort of engaged there. I don't really like how high it is, so we're going to trim that down in a minute. But before we do that, I'll just kind of show you. So now with the spring tension loaded up on this guy and this guy down here, this might be binding a little, so I might need to move it over. We can check first. Take an empty magazine. When you insert the empty magazine, this should move up into the bolt catch position. Shouldn't bind. No, you can see it stayed down. So either our magazine tension's too tight or this is binding down here. Let's try and move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, now instead of in that recess there, it's moved up a little bit, so hopefully it moves a little freer. Still too much tension. Try to push this back a little bit. When we continue in part 4, I'll keep working on adjusting the tension of that spring.